good. Thank you so much. Here we go. Admit all. Hi, everyone. We're just going to give it a minute and keep admitting people. Hello. Good to see you. Good to see you all. Thank you for coming. We're just going to give it a minute as more people start filing in. Woo, so many people. Thank you all for showing up. This is wonderful.
Tiny singers, right?
Hope you are all doing well today. It's a beautiful day for some singing everywhere in the US or in the world. That too. All right. So I guess we can start the welcome in 20 seconds. So I'll start now. Hello and welcome to the 2020 Classical Singer Music Online Convention. Yay! We are so excited to see you all today and to welcome today's presenter, Katherine Jolly from Oberlin Conservatory. We're so happy to have you with us. Thank you so much for being here. But before we get started, we just have a few housekeeping items to go over. Ooh, more people. Please be reminded that first of all, everyone has been muted and will remain so during the class so that the presenter and the singers have the best audio situation possible for their singing. The exception to this will be during the question and answer section at the later part of the masterclass, when one person at a time will be unmuted if they have raised their hand. There will be 3 singers today. However, we may have time for one volunteer singer afterwards. If you're interested in volunteering, please indicate it in the chat area that you find at the bottom of your screen privately to me, and we will take the first person who comments. We encourage those who have already had the chance to sing in previous classes to allow others to volunteer first, and we apologize in advance if we run out of time and this doesn't happen. Next, we hope to have time for at least a few questions at the very end of class, as I mentioned. If you have a question, feel free to enter it in the chat area and I will ask it as the moderator, or you can virtually raise your hand by clicking on participants at the bottom of your screen and then clicking raise hand. Now, I will warn you that the chat questions are oftentimes easier to organize. However, both are fine and whatever you think is best for you. We'd also like to remind everyone to be positive and supportive of the singers and of one another. Please don't go giving advice about singing, as this is the presenter's job. And without further ado, I'll turn this over to Professor Jolly. Thank you so much for being here.
Yes, thank you for having me. It's so nice to see you all, Brady Bunch style. Since we can't be together in person this year, we can still be together virtually and engage in music making, which is what makes our lives feel worthwhile and connected to everyone during this time. So I'm thrilled to be here with all of you today. I'm an associate professor at Oberlin Conservatory. Formerly, I was on faculty at Indiana University, and I've been singing professionally for 20 years now, and studying, of course, much longer than that, like many of you are studying right now. So I always think master classes can be a little nerve-wracking, whether it's in person or virtually. But if we can just think of it as an opportunity to sing, sing with joy, communicate, tell the story, and worry a little bit less about all of the mechanics. And I think we'll all have a great day today. So I'm ready for the first singer, whoever that's going to be.
Great. We have Erin Ruby listed as the first singer. Are you here today, Erin? Are you here yet? Erin? No? Okay, how about Joseph Murphy? Are you here yet?
Yeah, I'm here.
Great. Would you mind singing first?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Yeah, let me get my music.
What do you
I will be
Hey, Joey.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, nice to meet you.
Good, you too. My name is Joey and I will be singing Se Ben Crudele by Antonio Caudal.
Can you share with us how old you are and where you live and how long you've been studying?
I am 16. I'm from Brooklyn, New York, and I have been studying since I was a freshman in high school. I'm now a junior.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah, I'll sing.
This is my virtual applause.
Thank you.
Beautiful voice.
Thank you.
Yeah, lovely, rich, resonant instruments. And I feel like you have a lot of great innate musicality. And certainly we can tell that you know what you're singing about.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about what this piece means to you? Is there a subtext? Is there a story in mind that you have?
Well, this is a song about as if there's a guy and he loves a girl,
Okay.
but she isn't giving him the same love in return.
Okay.
And he is a little upset about that.
So he sings about it and sings about it again, because that's what we do. That's that classic unrequited love, yes?
Yeah.
When I talk to my students about singing with subtext and singing with intention, oftentimes we come up with several different scenarios besides exactly what you described, which is what the song is essentially about. And we do that so that we can find different layers and different colors in the instrument. Yeah?
Yeah.
So I had this feeling while you were singing that you wanted to move, and yet you didn't. So I wonder if it's feasible in your space. You have a great backdrop with that painting. Can you step back a little bit further from whether this is a left
Like
tone? Yeah, or even a little further. Is there something right in back of you?
Yeah, there's something right here.
So that's far enough then. And I'd love to start it over again and feel like you could do this with your arm before you sing. Yeah? Your breath is working really well for you. I think there could be even more elasticity right through here. Yeah?
Okay.
So when you breathe, seven crude, se, right from the very beginning. We don't get seven crude, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we feel like there's more consistent kind of schwung. And one of the challenges right now for many of us is when we're performing with a track, even if it's a great track, sometimes when we want to move more in the moment, it's harder to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Start over again without the track, with you just singing with your starting pitch, and feel like you can move your body more and you can sing ahead of the beat. So we get more and more of the passion that's behind this angst that you're feeling, right?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. Shall we try that from the beginning?
Okay. Without the track, right?
Yeah. So if you need to play just to get your starting pitch, that's fine. And then
I know. It's
you without it.
all right. Seven
Yes.
Sempre fedele, sempre fedele, ti voglio amar.
What do you think of that?
I felt much freer, and it showed a lot more expression and musicality to it.
Exactly. So these are tools for practicing different physical movements, bending the knees, all these things we can do to help find the easiest production and the most kind of steady airflow. This does not mean you're going to sing Seben Crudele on stage this way, right? But these are the things that we use, some of the tools we use to find the most free sound and allow you to be your most musical self. Yeah? So can we go on from there with the same idea? And remember that your shoulders look like you're in great shape. Your shoulders can move, yes? They're not fixed on you. Excellent. So I just lost, Blake, I just lost Joey's screen. There he is. Okay, great.
Okay, there.
So let's try just a few more phrases with this idea that the torso is flexible. Your knees are bent. You kind of feel like you can sit back into your own hips, right?
Mm-hmm.
And above that, it's flexible, agile, like a cat.
Right.
Yeah. Can we go on from where we were?
Yeah. Seben crudele mi fai languir, sempre fedele ti voglio amar.
One.
Seben crudele mi fai languir, sempre fedele ti voglio amar.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, it didn't sound like just straight the whole way through. It sounded like it had a lot of musicality and all stuff like that involved in it, with moving with the color of your voice, and some parts are forte, some parts are piano. Yeah.
Exactly right. And that kind of just came naturally.
Yeah.
So you were able to make those artistic choices without someone saying, this section should be more mezzo forte, this section should be, right?
Right.
It was organic, and we started to get kind of more natural Italian syllabic word stress.
Right.
Make sense?
Yeah.
What I also noticed was this area right here, right, where the diaphragm attaches. I think that's telling me I have to wrap it up. We saw a lot more relaxation there. So what I found is that you were able to kind of release your breath in a way that allowed the diaphragm to stay lower, longer.
Yeah.
Yeah, without immediately kind of kicking in. And so we got a lot more legato. It's a beautiful instrument.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Lovely development. You're definitely being really well trained. Wonderful to hear such a fresh, young, rich baritone. So keep up doing everything you're doing.
Okay.
Come visit us at Oberlin.
Of course, yeah. Thank you.
So nice.
Thank you very much.
Or this is what we're doing now, right? The elbow.
Elbow now, yeah.
So nice to meet you. Thank you so much for singing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Our next singer is Erin Ruby. Erin? Erin?
Hello. Yeah.
Alrighty. Is she here? Can anyone see?
Yes, I'm here.
All right.
There she is. Hi, Erin.
Hi.
So nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Thanks for singing for us today.
Of course, thank you.
Do you want to tell us just a little bit about yourself, how old you are, perhaps where you're studying right now?
Yeah, I'm Erin Hess. I am 15 years old, and I'm studying with a private voice teacher who actually graduated from Oberlin.
Oh,
and,
I love it. Okay.
and yeah, and I am planning on graduating early next year, and then applying to Oberlin and a few other colleges. So
wonderful. And where are you right now in the world?
I'm in upstate New York, like about an hour south of Buffalo.
Okay, excellent. So I saw that you had Vedrai Carrino and also the wonderful Schubert Gretchen om Spinrara.
Yeah.
Would you feel comfortable singing some Mozart for us today?
Yeah, sure. I can do that. Would you like me to start?
Yeah, and you can back up maybe, and just like we're in a concert hall, don't sing to me in the screen. Sing to like a big space. Yeah, we don't feel like you have to lock in. I think we're all getting kind of that Zoom fatigue.
Yeah.
Being so close to a camera and feeling like we have to sing right to it.
Okay.
So think about wonderful grand theater, and you're communicating with a whole bunch of amazing fans that have been waiting for you.
Okay.
Okay.
Do that.
Thank you. Forgot to unmute myself. Love that. You have a beautiful presence. And Mozart is wonderful for young singers. It requires so much of us in terms of solid technique. And he's so innately understood the vocal instrument.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I asked for the Mozart.
Yeah.
Something that my managers always say is that if you ever have Mozart on your list for an audition, they're going to ask for Mozart. Either first or second, they're going to ask for it. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, this is beautiful. Let's go back to the beginning. And similarly to what I just did with Joey, I would love for us to do some work without the track.
Okay.
For me, this tempo is a little slow and it makes it a little harder to sing.
Okay.
As we're young, tempos in general move a little more briskly. And then the older we get, the tempos change a little bit for us. Yeah? So I wonder if we could just start it over.
Okay.
A little more movement. And I'd love to try a few phrases on an NG. Do you use that with your teacher right now?
A few phrases on what?
NG.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I don't know if you have done any work like that thus far, but I would like for us to just play around with that.
Okay.
So let's just try it with without the melody at first, just so we get the feeling of.
Okay.
And do that.
So you want no sound in the background?
Yeah, just like a sigh, a fun sigh.
Okay. Like that.
Now you can let the hinge of the jaw here go. It doesn't have to be hugely dropped, just relaxed. You can put your hands here. And remember, there's never less space than like tiny baby marshmallows back there behind them.
Okay.
And then we'll try it again.
Okay. Okay.
We can have fun with it. We can like play around like the video game.
All right.
Oh, gorgeous. Do that again.
Okay.
How does that feel to you, Erin?
Good.
Comfortable? Okay, so
Yeah.
we're going to try that from the beginning and move the tempo a little bit. So I'll demonstrate. Can we try?
Yeah.
Very nice. We're going to do that one more time. So the jaw's kind of going to stay in that same neutral, happy place.
Okay.
I'm not moving. Same pitch, right?
Okay.
Just keep your hands there as a happy reminder. A little myofascial reminder, yeah? Here we go. Keep going. Beautiful. Yes. What do you notice? Just playing around with that MG in this moment. Is there anything different about the way you're using your breath? Or perhaps any vibrations you're feeling differently?
It seems to be more even across the board from the breath support.
Yeah, and it's like a tiny steady stream, like a little silver thread, right?
Yeah.
So let's try to drop the words in now and keep that same feeling, replicate that same feeling in your body as the NG.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What do you think about that, Erin?
It was better.
Yeah. Yeah, we got some wonderful shimmer and sparkle. We had a lot more accuracy in terms of the pitch.
Yeah.
So much more legato. Yeah. So semi-occluded exercises like this one, NG, semi-occluded. You can look it up. Lots of information out there. Finding that really deep connection to the breath, only using as much breath energy as necessary in every register. Yeah? Shall we go to the very end and try the same thing?
Okay.
Once we get to the section.
Okay. Without background?
Yeah. Let's try. Good. You got from me on the NG ones, right?
Oh, on the NG. Sorry.
Good. Keep sliding and keep the jaw in the same place. Good for you. Already different. Now we're going to slide them all together. It's going to feel messy to you. for right now. Really overdo that slide for me. Yeah, on the NG. So much better. Try it again, even more slide, even more. Yeah, nothing stops. Yes, good for you. Now shall we try with the text from Sentito battere? Yeah.
Sentilo battere.
Oh, and good. One more time, because I think I messed you up by playing the piano between. Keep it all coming out, hun. Breath keeps moving through, yeah?
Sentilo battere. Toccami qua. Sentilo battere, sentilo battere.
Yes, that's different.
Yeah.
Talk to us about that. Is that comfortable?
Yeah, that's a lot better. That really helped. Definitely. Yeah.
So could you describe maybe how it felt different in your body, head, face, anything for the rest of our friends here today?
It definitely felt less forced. It was like voice was being like slowly pulled out of my mouth instead of just choppy, if that makes any sense. But
yeah, absolutely. I love that voice being pulled out of my mouth. So it's like that steady stream, right? So you have a firm appoggio, a firm, flexible support, and then like bright bubble energy coming out of you all the time that never stops.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the NG is it's a great tool. I like to use the one that is definitely released at the hinge. It's not overly dropped. It's just released. Almost as though your back jaw is falling away from your top. Like, hi, like a surprise breath. Just say that first. Hi.
Hi.
Yes, that's your mouth space for now, right? It's natural. We've got great like lifting in the cheeks, openness here to the nasopharyngeal area, and then you just keep that space, no matter what the vowels, yeah? Never going to be smaller than about this, ever. When we're singing, yeah? So the more and more you can find that consistency with the release of the jaw, the easier your breath is going to work for you.
Yeah.
That's a huge change.
Yeah.
Yeah, really lovely. Lovely sparkle starting to come through. So we have to remember every voice sparkles. Yeah. So our goal is to always find the sparkle, the beauty, the shimmer in any sound, anywhere in our registers. Make sense?
Yes.
Do you have any questions for me? I kind of like threw a lot at you in that short time.
Not really. Just thank you very much because it was very helpful.
Excellent. It's so nice to hear you. It's so nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
You're doing great work, trying to graduate early and all of that. So keep that up and say hello to your teacher.
I will.
All right. Thank you, Erin.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Erin. Next we have Laura. Laura, are you ready?
Yeah. Hi.
Laura.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well. How are you doing?
I'm 17. I study with Carol Katie Miles at Peabody Prep. I live in Harleysville, PA, which is like an hour from Philly-ish.
Yeah.
And if it's okay, I'll be singing None But the Lonely Heart by Tchaikovsky.
Okay.
Oh, and also my mom is accompanying me.
Isn't that lucky? I saw that. I thought, wow. Wonderful. Maybe if you could step back just a little bit. I know you won't quite be in the, oh, I see, it's close.
I can push this back.
That would be great.
Is that better?
That's great. I can just see a little bit of you. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wow, Laura. This is beautiful.
Thank you.
Yes, and your mother too. Beautiful. Really wonderful. Tell us how long you've been working on this.
I started it like last summer just for fun, and then I sort of like brought it back in the spring because I remembered it like, oh, this is a cool piece.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's great for you, and your Russian is really good.
Thank
So
you.
bravo. Most of us don't tackle Russian until late undergrad or grad school, so you have a leg up. That's excellent. So you have so much innate musicality. It's a beautiful voice, singing really well. It's great to see that really relaxed area right here between the shoulder girdles and knowing that you're working hard underneath.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wonderful to see that much relaxation. It's great. I wonder if we could play around with the feeling at the beginning and the end.
Okay.
Have as much energy in them as the middle section when it, that climax, that drama really takes hold.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the beginning and the end, it's easy. I love that you're singing so musically and you're giving us dynamics, right? But we never want to sing softer than we can sing highly energized on the body. And it starts kind of middle voice low, right?
Yeah.
So kind of what I talked about with Joey, if you were listening, if we can find more schwung in the very beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah? So almost like you're singing ahead of the beat like you would with a conductor.
Okay. Yeah.
Your mother she's amazing. She's right there with you. Remember, you lead.
Okay. Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
It has nothing to do with giving extra effort here. It's about the feeling of momentum and movement.
Okay.
So let's just start it over. Make sure your knees are soft and you
Okay.
feel like, Laura, that you could go somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that there's that much, like your lower half is firm, but it can move. And then I want to see your voice move that way in the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
I'll just give you like 3 minutes.
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
Stop and talk about that because that was pretty sensational. It's very different. Can you describe to us how it's different for you?
It's hard to like explain. Like it's more like out here and not like confined here.
It's more release.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You're releasing your sound. You're releasing your breath more.
Yeah.
Sound sometimes when we're doing that smaller to us, but it's so much bigger out here. And it's not that we're about big, but we're about released sound, right?
Yeah.
Then when you went up to that F natural, we got this incredible bloom, right? There was a lot more elasticity and kind of it was at a higher angle. We talk about like space.
Oh,
Did you feel that? That it kind of went? Was
yeah.
it?
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
beautiful the first time, but this one had so much more stretch.
Yeah, definitely.
Huh?
Yeah.
So we didn't really change the tempo. It might be a little brighter, but you sang into the lines, up into the lines, up into the lines every time. And your body was then more underneath you, and we got more core in the sound.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Was anything about that uncomfortable for you? Was there anything uncomfortable about that for you?
No. Like it was sort of weird like moving, but like it actually was more freeing than like standing still.
Yeah, feeling locked, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Can we try the same thing moving into that more dramatic middle section?
Yeah,
You
definitely.
gave us so much gorgeous, almost like an emerald green color there when you moved into the passaggio, and I'm sure everyone would love to hear a little more of that jewel moving into the middle section.
Like the ending, like or the
Yeah, let's go there.
Okay. Yeah.
Same idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's do that again.
I know.
Just part of the whole piece, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like at the end, you're like, yeah? Right there is where you need to move through. This was so gorgeous. So you actually blew out my mic twice, which is how I know.
Okay.
Much more resonant, right? In a good way. That's what we're training to do, right? Be micless out in those big spaces. Let's just do this last phrase. See if you can move more through it. Give it more breath energy, more flow, and you'll have more energy at the end. Yeah?
Yeah. Okay.
So you start.
Yeah.
Brava, brava. How did that feel to you?
That felt better. Like I had more breath to spare. Yeah.
Same kind of thing I was just talking about with Erin. If we have more consistent breath energy, right? You have the firm appoggio, but the breath energy is inside of that, right? That lean, sparkly energy actually gives you more air. You're wasting less air. It's more efficient.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you have more permission to lead and sing ahead of the beat. And then when you stretch, you can go back again, right? There's a lot more stretch and fun that you can have with this piece. It's stunning in your voice.
Thank you.
Beautiful, young, healthy instrument. So wonderful to hear. So what an honor. Thank you for singing for me. I hope you'll come sing for us here. Just keep doing everything you're doing. It's really, really good.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was beautiful, Laura. So now is the time of our masterclass where we're doing the question and answer section. As I talked about earlier, if you could write your question in the chat, I will be reading it to Professor Jolly, or you can raise your hand by clicking the participants at the bottom of your screen and clicking raise hand, and I will call on you when I can. So let those questions fly, guys. Great. First question. What is your perfect recipe for a meaningful practice session?
I love that. That's a great question. What is the perfect recipe for a meaningful practice session? So some advice that I give to my students is to always set several intentions every time they go to sing, whether it's a practice session, whether it's a master class, an audition, performance in studio class, recital. Set several intentions. Set larger intentions for the week, and then set several small intentions for your practice, so that you're not giving your body and mind too much to incorporate at once. So for example, just working with Laura, her intentions for tomorrow might be to have more consistent breath energy throughout, and maybe she's going to do some exercising before and she feels really vital and alive, the body is awake. And the second intention might be something just like score study, right? Or I'm going to work on this particular section of this piece, so that every practice session really has a structure. So the way that, that I teach my students is that we start always with a physical warm-up. We use yoga balls, we do stretching, we have balance boards. Some people kind of run low energy. I make them run around the room or do jumping jacks. Other people are really high energy, so we might do some alternate nostril breathing, some meditation to kind of get them where they can best focus. Then we do breath exercises. Then we start really easy with a hum or an NG, several exercises like that. We slowly work into vowel work, scalar passages, arpeggios, and the exercises increase in length and width, right, in terms of your range, the longer you warm up. The warm-up should be significant, you know, in your practice session. A lot of times we're really eager to jump into rep. The way you set up your voice to sing, like any athlete, has a huge impact on the work you then do in your repertoire. So divide your practice session up. Stretching, physical warm-up, mental warm-up, mindfulness exercise, breath exercises, vocal exercises. Again, that should be the majority of your practice session. Then maybe the last 15 minutes or so is working on repertoire. And don't just sing through a piece, sing sections of pieces, yeah? So you can work on more than one in one day, and then have your schedule for the week so you're alternating different pieces. And then reflect back. Did you achieve your intention? You got in the way of your intentions? So you constantly are reflecting and becoming your own teachers at the same time as being a student. That's my recipe.
Great.
With a tinge, a splash of joy and sparkle, yeah?
Okay, so Ben-Hur, I see that your hand is raised. If you would like to pop in here and ask your question.
Okay. Hello, dear Catherine. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. I'm coming to Oberlin too.
I know you are. Remember your
Yeah.
video audition. We're excited to have you.
Right, yeah. I just want to ask you for tips. For example, for low, when you are singing like the low register, you warm up to your low register and it warms up very good, and then you warm up to your high register and then it goes good, but then you miss a connection with your low register, so you cannot go back. So what tips are there? What technical tips are there for help?
So, from my point of view, for any voice type, we start warming up the voice in the middle. And we stretch it in both directions, but you start in the middle. So that you have a really nice, kind of naturally relaxed, buoyant laryngeal position. Yeah, so middle, middle a little lower, middle, mid a little higher, middle, middle a little lower, and you just stretch really gradually. So I'm not gonna start, I'm a coloratura soprano, I'm not gonna start way up here. I mean, that's gonna take a while, right? And then I'm not gonna start down here. I mean, I start in the middle, I will move my way out. I would say, think about the amount of time you're spending in each register, and can you find exercises that integrate all three registers? So you start in the middle, scales, arpeggios, slides. Then can you work your way out in an exercise that might be like 1, 3, 5, 8, 3, 3, 1, right? So that we're not parked in either part of the voice, so you can maintain that laryngeal relaxation. And really think of your voice as something that's stretching. It's never sitting down there, it's never sitting up there, yeah? So we know when we come down, the larynx tips naturally this way. When we go up, it tips slightly up a little bit, yeah? Our job is to find that middle, that comfort in the middle where we can tip and come right back. So if you find like a little fatigue in the, or the middle, the bottom doesn't want to really speak for you after you've been singing in the top, maybe finding some relaxation sigh exercises, lots of oohs, umlauts up there to find more release and length, vertical length that you can then find your way down. Straw work is great. It's a great way of finding ease in the registers. Yeah, straw work in water. Kind of take off excess muscular tension and find more relaxation moving through those two passaggio. Yeah, can't wait to hear you in the fall.
Thank you so much. Our next question is, do you have any advice for overcoming mental hurdles for challenging notes or songs, like nerves about not being able to hit specific notes or a specific part of your voice?
Sure. Yeah, again, I think using intentions, setting intentions, using mindfulness work, speaking out loud to yourself, to your mirror, wherever it is you're practicing, what you want to happen. So if we are constantly establishing a brain pathway of what we want to happen, and then we're using visualizations to kind of see and hear what we want, hear how you want to sing that note, see how you want your body to feel and look when you're singing in that part of your voice, and then set those intentions. Give yourself affirmative messages. The body responds there's lots of research on this, the body responds much quicker to affirmative intentions, right? Giving your body something to do rather than giving it all the things you want it not to do. And often when we're nervous, we're kind of playing out worst case scenarios, right? I don't want to crack, I don't want this note to be weak, I don't want this, I don't want that. Start practicing what you want and see how that might start to change. It takes some time, especially if there's a well-worn rut or pathway of worry and anxiety. It takes time. It takes specific exercises. There's so many wonderful free short meditations that are available online right now. I think that working at the mental game is half of the challenge of having a professional career, because there's no way you get through the career without nerves at some point. So we have to be working on the mental game, at the same time we're working on the physical game. But I think that giving yourself specific intentions of things you want to do and framing it that way for your body, you kind of put yourself ahead of the curve. Like any athlete would go into a game and, today I'm going to hit that home run, I'm going to plant my back feet, I'm going to get in my good stance. They're not thinking, I hope I don't hit a home run, I hope I don't sit well in my stance. Yeah.
Well, thank you for that. Connor, I see that you have your hand up. If you wouldn't mind popping in, thank you.
Hi there, Professor Jolly, excuse me. Hi. Let's see. I have a problem. It's kind of a habit where I only use as much air as I need to physically be able to make a sound and no more. So it's kind of constricting my sound. And I was wondering if there were any exercises that you could recommend that would help me through that problem.
Yeah, I think that is a great question and not an uncommon challenge. Yeah. I can't tell, about your build from where you are, but I will say that there are a lot of great exercises to open up the upper body, and as well as forward bending exercises you can use with a lip trill or a sigh. So you start to feel that you are a lot bigger than perhaps So without forcing anything open, finding some exercises like this, going backwards on the ball, so you can really let go of any extra tension that we don't want here, which often happens right here, abdominis rectus. And we need to be able to feel like we can release and stretch outwards in every direction, outwards in every direction and kind of down, right? I would practice a lot like with sloppy singing, if that makes sense. Lots of sighs. You might try working with a raspberry if you can do it comfortably, just so you're getting used to that constant airflow. I would also practice a lot on vowels, right? So that you don't feel like the consonants are not getting in the way of that continuous airflow. And again, any kind of movement that releases, if it's grounded in your lower body, just kind of feeling like you can release that sound. Again, setting some intentions for yourself about what you think you can do, right? Every day. Do you feel like there's something emotional attached to wanting to conserve the sound or conserve the breath?
Actually, probably, yeah. I in high school, I was trained as a baritone, but then when I got to college, my voice teacher told me that I'm probably a tenor. And so that was kind of a jarring transition for me. And so because of it, I get a little bit nervous and I'm like, oh, if I free up my sound, then it's going to crack or it's going to be weird. And so I think it's probably a subconscious
Sure.
something like that.
And to some degree, that's a big transition, first of all. So congratulations to you and coraggio.
Thank
Anytime
you.
we take voice types, but particularly that change from baritone to tenor, it takes a while. And your voice goes through a period of sometimes cracking. And sometimes that's good because it means you're releasing tension, or you're finding that right muscular balance and that new, top. So I would say give yourself permission to crack and release. Give yourself permission to make ugly sounds, nothing that hurts, but like just kind of let the voice explore itself in this transition time. Hold space for that instrument that's going to keep growing and changing daily, right?
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Connor. Our next question comes from the chat. And what are some mental exercises that you can do in practice sessions to help balance that mental game out? And do you recommend any specific websites or meditation habits or exercises during this
Sure,
time?
that's a great question. I think there are endless apps now and so many websites to go to find free meditations. My particular favorite is a YouTube channel. Now I'm going to blank. It'll come to me. The Mindful Movement. So there are hundreds, if not more than hundreds, of videos and guided meditations, and you can find specific ones. So say the guided meditation for reducing anxiety, a guided meditation that's just 7 minutes of positive affirmations. Could be a meditation that is energizing, say, if you start out the day feeling low energy. There are ones for kind of calming fight or flight, similar to anxiety. There are so many different ones. There are ones for sleep, midday recharge, morning meditations. What I request or advise my students is to start every day with a meditation and to end every day with a meditation. And then many of them find doing a short meditation, maybe just 4 to 6 minutes. Guided is usually the most helpful in the beginning to kind of quiet your own chatter. Right before you practice can kind of really help you find that zone that when we're performing the best, it's kind of like we're hyper conscious of everything around us, but we're also in this incredible focus, that flow zone place, which is really magical. That's the part that keeps us continuing to sing. So if you can try to start to find that daily. So I would really advise short meditations, short guided meditations, beginning of the day, end of the day, right before you practice or right before a performance. I think it's certainly been game changing for me. I also think a gentle yoga practice, 5 minutes or so, great way to prepare your body to sing. If you're someone that tends to run low energy, doing some jumping jacks, doing a little more like cardiovascular work so you feel that you're really there, present with your body. And again, affirmation work I feel is very, very powerful, and I've seen it change the way my singers show up in space. I use it a lot in my movement class, but I also use it for my private students. So although I'm out of them right now, I have stacks of Post-its. And so I'll write affirmations and students will put them on their first page of their binder. So when they open up into the practice room, they see all of these affirmations, right? I have a beautiful voice. I was born to sing. I am enough. Things like that, right? And if there's a particular area of the voice or something they're struggling with, we find an affirmation that is addressing that. But again, they're positive affirmations. And then we talk about that each work. How are those working for you? And they change. So we write more Post-its and more affirmations. Yeah. And then you can use that same work with your colleagues, right? We all listen critically and analytically, and that's all great. But you can also use that affirmation work with your friends, with your colleagues, with your studio, so that affirmations lead every comment that is made in a master class or a studio class. And then comes how did that feel to you? What might you want to have done differently? Getting feedback from the class, but always starting with that positive. So we start to allow space for our spirit. We have to have space as singers, right? We have to have joy, and we have to have space for our spirit. We could be the most intellectual, academic, written 5 books on science, doesn't mean you can get up there and do this. It's challenging. There are a lot of challenges, but it's also such a gift. So maybe you're also reminding yourself every day when you go to practice, this is a gift. I get to practice today. Already ahead, already winning.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing. That's just wonderful. I'm sure that would be useful to all of us during this time. And the next question is, what would you say is the most common mistake you see in young singers?
Wow, that's a loaded question. That's hard. That's like a Miss America answer. To get out of, what do you think you said? Well, I will say, perhaps not mistake, but what I see when one of the things I see the most, right, judging competitions throughout the country and whatnot, is the desire to make big sound, right? So that there's a lot of kind of auxiliary tensions happening here, right? These strap muscles, a lot of tension happening here, like that, to try to make that big sound. And so that's one of the reasons that I use so much body work and attention to knees, hips, everything, to try to find that really solid grounding underneath the diaphragm, right? Very, very firm, elastic appoggio, and then find a lot of semi-occluded exercises to help depressurize systems. So we don't want to have a tiny amount of breath energy, like we were just talking about with the baritone turned star tenor, right? You need a lot of airflow, but we don't ever want to be singing hard. So the three questions that I ask every singer, or I try to advise them as they're going into summer programs, competitions, looking at colleges, grad schools, or even when you're out in the field. You know, we work with so many people over our careers, great conductors, coaches, but not all the time does the right language translate to us. So people may ask for a sound. If it doesn't feel easier, sound easier, look easier, it's not right. So if it feels harder, sounds harder, looks harder, no. Feels easier, sounds easier, looks easier, you're on the right path. Yeah, so singing is hard work in terms of how much we are engaged in our bodies. But it should not feel hard here. Yeah, so when it feels hard, or you leave a practice session, you leave a rehearsal, and you know, I have had some young singers say things like, well, my voice hurts after this. I think, well, that's too much. So practice in shorter periods, break up your practice, sing as you're building stamina, and just keep those three things in mind for now and forever and ever, amen. Yeah, if something that you think you heard is making things uncomfortable, come back with questions. Don't be afraid to ask your teachers or your coaches, whoever you're working with, you know, that feels like this to me. And maybe, you know, you can have that dialogue, find a language that translates to an easier production. That's a long-winded answer, but that's, that's the main thing that I see.
Thank you so much. Unfortunately, we're coming up at the end of our time. I'm so sorry I couldn't get to all of your questions. They were all wonderful. Thank you so much for your time and your positivity. We are so enlightened, and we are so grateful to have you with us today. So
Thank you so much. It's nice to see all these beautiful, shiny young singers. So keep singing, keep connected to your joy, and I hope to run into all of you either at college auditions or summer programs, competitions. Look forward to watching your path. And thank you so much for the three singers for sharing your gifts with us today. Thank you, classical singer.